Hello, welcome to another live. My name is Laken, and I go live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern to chat all about life and goals. And this is our first live from the new house. It's a very boring background that I've got for you today because I'm literally just sitting at my dining room table. I don't have a desk yet, and there's nothing on this wall yet behind me. So you've got a beautiful wall. We also may have Charlie join us because I'm in the dining room. There is no way to shut her out of it anywhere. So she is looks like she's about to knock the computer over. If you don't know who she is, Charlie is my sweet kitty girl. And I'm excited to be here with you today. I'm excited to chat. Let's start with our question that we always start with. Say hello and share a win from the last week. If you are here live, please say hello in the chat and let us know what your win is from the last week. And if you are part of the replay fam, please let us know in the comments. What is your win? I want to celebrate with you in the comments as well. My win, besides moving, of course, I had a hard time writing that in for the win because there were quite a few hiccups that happened. So I decided to put that I did my first workout in this new house. That is my win from the last week. But I want to hear about yours. So say hello. Let me know. Charlie, please don't knock over the computer. It's a little bit chaotic over here right now. If anything, it's funny because the lighting in here is beautiful, and I very easily could do my live in here all the time, but then Charlie would be here all the time. I don't know if I would like that. Hello, welcome home. Thank you. So excited. Appreciate it. I bought tickets for the event. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that you brought this up, Monique, because I completely forgot to include it in a pop-up for this live, which is totally on me. There are still tickets available to the in-person event in Chicago in August. So if you are interested, I don't have the link there now, but I will put the link there after the live is over. If you want to join us, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But I'm so excited to meet so many of you. It's going to be so much fun. I finally organized my office. Amazing. Been a while, River J. It's so nice to see your names. My win would be trusting my guides and making a big decision for a healthier life. Sending you all the good thoughts. Brittany and her little sweet baby. Brittany, I love that you're still here live, even though you literally have like a tiny, tiny, tiny human. Unexpectedly unmedicated, but I didn't have to be induced. Oh my goodness. You're a superhero. Superhero. Survived 3 weeks babysitting grandkids, 2 and 8 months. Wow, that is a huge win. 3 weeks, 2 and 8 months. And I'm over here concerned about my mom I'm not concerned at all about my mom. I think she's going to be tired at the end of it, but she's going to have Lila for the 8-ish days that we're in Argentina. And it's just Lila. I also bought my ticket. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh, your little tiny baby won't be so tiny anymore. Still be a small baby, but so fun. Okay, let's jump in with my monthly goal check-in. So here is my goals. If you haven't had a chance to watch the video from Monday, that is where I went through all of these steps in detail and what they entail and my thoughts on them, etc. So I'm not going to do that here because I'm not going to be repetitive. What I am going to do here is tell you that some things have already had to change and I talked about this on last week's live, which was just so perfectly timed. The topic for last week was like goals when life throws a curveball at you. That absolutely happened to us. I'm not talking about the move. The move has been planned for 2 months. Like the move, well, it wasn't finalized until the middle of December, but like it was anticipated. The move was anticipated. Us getting on a plane tomorrow to go somewhere was not anticipated. We are on a last minute trip for a family thing. And that has definitely thrown a wrench. And so I hadn't scheduled any of my goals yet, and I'm keeping it that way for now. I have made progress on the house project list. I just kind of started a notes app in my phone and added stuff as I thought to it. I probably could check it off as complete because I don't necessarily feel like I'm going to schedule time to actually work on it, but I'm like adding things as I think about it, right? As I see something, I add it to that list. I do have time scheduled to do my vision board. We'll see if that actually pans out, but I haven't scheduled anything else because I just don't know kind of what the rest of the month looks like right now. I did go ahead and cross off the workout program that I'm doing. If you watched the vlog that went live, that was a couple weeks ago at this point. I talked about how I'm doing a Peloton strength program, and because we're not going to be around, I decided to go ahead and cut that. I'm still keeping my workout, but I'm shrinking it to less time, less intensity. So just something small. So that is the update on my goals. All right. Any questions, comments, things before we move into the topic? Okay. Let's talk about action steps. So one of the most common questions or struggles that I hear from you all the time is, I know what I want my goal to be, but I can't come up with action step ideas for it. I hear it all the time. And I know that in some world you kind of wish that somebody could just hand you the plan, right? The steps that you need to take from A to Z to work on your goal. And I wish I could give that to you, but the truth is that goals are so unique and so personal that I can't just hand you the plan on what to work on, but I can give you all the things that I know in terms of helping you come up with the action steps for your goals. And we have done action step idea series in the past. I've done them twice before, and both times I set it up by type of goal. So the very first time that we did it, those videos are a little bit all over the place. I think they're still helpful, but they're a little bit all over the place. And there were 6 different goal categories. I shared some ideas, some questions, some books, and then just general tips about coming up with action step ideas over the course of those videos. Then last year, I did a series where it's still split up by goals, but I did like really specific action steps. I asked you to share yours and I combined them all and shared them. I think those videos are still incredibly helpful, especially if you have a one of those specific goals. Like if your goal falls into one of those categories easily, I think that those videos are super, super helpful for you to go back and review. The categories, by the way, were finance, health, home, and personal. This time, so when I ask for video idea recommendations, I always get, can you do that again? Can you do another action step series? And I was like, I hemmed and hawed because I'm like, I don't know how to make it different. I don't know how to do it differently so that it's still helpful and I'm not just repeating myself over and over again. Well, I ultimately decided that the best way to do that is that instead of splitting it up by type of goal, we are splitting it up by type of action steps. So over the course of February, we are going to be talking about action steps for all of February on all the lives. This week, we're talking about one-time action steps. Next week will be daily or weekly, then daily. And then the very last week of February will be the oh so popular question, how do I know whether it's a goal action step or something that belongs on a to-do list? So that is how we're going to be focusing on things for the next month, for the month of February. Before we start though, okay, before we get into it, I want to remind you that you do not need every type of action step for every type of goal. What I don't want you to do is think that if you don't have one-time, weekly, and daily steps for your goals, that it's not going to work and you're not going to be successful. That's not how this works. There are going to be some goals, and you will see it because I'm including examples in these as well, just grouped again by one-time, weekly, daily. And you will see that there are goals that lean a lot heavier on a different category of action step. So do not feel like every goal needs every type of action step. If you cannot come up with a weekly action step for whatever your goal is, that's fine. That doesn't mean that it's a bad goal. It doesn't mean that you're going to fail at it. It's just that goal doesn't come with any weekly action steps, and that's okay. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that you didn't forget that. So, okay. So let's start. What is a one-time action step? Y'all, this is going to sound so silly, but it's exactly like it sounds. A one-time step are the things that you just do one time, that it's not recurring. It's not something that you're trying to do every week. It's not something that you're trying to do every day. It's a step that you're going to write down and you're going to do it one time and you're going to then just be able to check it off. That is a one-time step, right? So here are mine that you've seen before. So right, finish unpacking. That's a pretty big one-time step, but that is I'm going to check it off. Create a project list for our house, right? It's a one-time step. Create a vision board. Do Lila's birthday shadow box. Get a thing of fresh flowers. Use our fireplace and have a cozy movie night, right? Those are one-time steps. Some of them are obviously bigger than others. We're going to talk about size in a little bit, but those are all things that you do once. And then when you're done, you check it off. So these types of steps make a lot of sense for chronological goals or goals that you are doing a set number of steps in a certain order. So for example, when you're working on creating a YouTube channel, right? There are steps that you go to get a video up on a YouTube channel. Each of those pieces make really good one-time steps. The thing to remember is that there is no right or wrong in terms of like how big or small you make these steps. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. That's why I hesitated. I'm getting ahead of myself because I have a whole section on size later on. So it also makes sense, which is all of my goals, for progressive goals. By the way, if you need a refresher on goal breakdowns, I categorize goals in 4 different ways: chronological, numerical, progressive, and sectional. If you need a refresher on that, I will link the videos that talk about that down below on the different types of breakdowns. But for progressive goals, these are goals that don't have a finite end state. So these are goals that you are just picking action steps to get you closer to that end state that you have defined, right? We talked at the very beginning of the year about defining our goals. You get clear on what that goal means to you. You define that goal, and each action step is just getting you closer to whatever that end state looks like for you. One-time steps make a lot of sense for those. I mean, frankly, that's what a lot of mine are, right? These are getting me closer to that progressive end state of spending more time creatively, getting our house in good shape, enjoying the winter time. And then, I crossed off the working out one, but you know what I mean? Now, your one-time step could be a further breakdown of a quarterly or an annual goal, right? Let's say that you set an annual goal of reading 24 books or a quarterly goal of reading 6 books a quarter. You could break that down. Your one-time step could be 2 books a month. And I know this might feel a little counterintuitive because you're like, wait, that's technically something that's recurring, right? It's something I'm going to do every single month. Yes. A one-time step could be recurring in terms of a monthly standpoint, but it doesn't have to be. And so I want you, if that is a block, like gives you a block, then I want you to let that go. Okay, let's talk about the size. So ideally, the size of these are something that you would put into your planner. And this is one of those scenarios where I'm going to say, do as I say, maybe not as I do, because you saw mine. The unpacking, like just finishing unpacking is not going in my planner, obviously. If you find yourself struggling with completing your one-time steps, this is a good rule to stick to. I have been doing this for so many years at this point that I know that if I put too big of a one-time step, I know how to manage that. If you feel like you struggle with the one-time section in your goal planner, make them smaller. Put them in whatever size makes sense that you would put it into your planner. And this size is going to differ based on who you are. Maybe you're somebody who has a good amount of free time. Time is not necessarily your biggest enemy. So you break it down into 1-hour chunks. Maybe you are somebody who really, you've got to break it down into like 15-minute chunks. I always say smaller is always better in this scenario, but ideally these are fitting into your planner. The other reason that you would make them smaller and something that would fit into your planner is if you are somebody who gets really unmotivated by things not being checked off. Y'all know me. If some of these things aren't checked off, it doesn't demotivate me. I don't look at this page and say, oh my gosh, look at all the blanks. I look at it and I see, look at all those check marks that I've already gotten for the month, right? I don't get demotivated by that. So it's easier for me to put bigger ones on my list. If they are too big though, like if what is on there would not go in your planner, you need to break them down elsewhere. And both packing and unpacking, I have made lists of all the things that I need to break down, or all the things I've broken down all the things that I needed to pack and then I need to unpack, right? I understand that when I put pack on my goal sheet in January, like that's a huge goal. I had a whole separate list that I was checking it off. So if it is too big that you wouldn't put it in your planner, you need to break it down in smaller somewhere else. Or, and I don't have this on a pop-up, but the or here, and I don't say this to confuse you. And if it is, then just like la for 1 second. You have it in another spot. What I mean by that is, let's say that you have declutter your closet in your one-time step. Because to you, it feels like I can reasonably get that done over the course of the month. But you know it's going to take you more time than what you're going to put in your planner. So declutter your closet, hangs out in your one-time steps. Then you put in your weekly steps, spend 2 hours decluttering my closet every week. Then you put in your daily section, spend 30 minutes a day decluttering my closet. I know that sounds like a lot, y'all, but 30 minutes a day, missing one day adds up to 2 hours. That math did not math, Laken. I meant to do 20 minutes a day. That's where I meant to go with that math. 20 minutes a day. Missing a day, because you skip days. We all do. We all skip days. 6 days a week is how you get to 2 hours a week, right? So that is an example of if it is too big and you need to break it down somewhere else. Now, we are, like I said, still going to include examples. So I asked you to share your goal action step ideas from January and February. And if you didn't get around to it, no big deal. We have plenty of examples. But reminder that these examples are for inspiration. These are not like, these are the exact steps that you need to take. Your goals are likely different in some capacity from the person who submitted them. They are meant to just be inspiration or ideas. Now, I did still break them down into sections or into categories because I thought that would still be helpful. But today I'm just going to share with you the one-time steps for each of them. So for example, here are the one-time steps for finance, right? So an end of month budget review, setting up an account, creating a budget, setting up a budget planner, collecting tax information, creating a will, investing a certain amount each month, paying off a certain amount of debt, paying off a certain percentage of debt, selling a house, figure out recurring subscriptions, creating some sort of tracker, setting up auto deductions, using your bonus or tax return for something specific. You can always save this and come back and screenshot it later. But these are just examples. These are one-time steps related to finance goals. All right. Goal category 2, home. You can see there's a lot more here, right? Home actually, I feel like had a lot in all the categories. Like there's a lot of things you could do in every category where you'll see that there are some just have more or less than others, right? So here are some home one-time step ideas. Declutter one room, replace a specific item, order a specific item. Those are pretty similar. Organize an area. And these are examples from you. The only thing I did was make some of them more generic, right? If somebody said like declutter closet, I changed it to one room declutter to make it a little bit more general, just to give you ideas. Organize a specific area, break down the areas. I love a one-time step could always be to break things down further. Tackle one area at a time in 15-minute segments. That's going similar to that example that I gave before. Plan a cleaning routine, deep clean a room, put house on the market, create vision boards for the house. I love that. Declutter for an hour, hang something, monthly deep clean, book a contractor, sell specific things, research resell sites, buy certain storage bins, hire someone for test grab it for help with something, or drop off donations. You can see these are not, I feel like this sometimes I'm like, it doesn't have to be that complicated, right? We can keep it simple. It's literally, and that's why the last week is like the difference between a to-do list item and a goal, because for some of us, it's like, well, isn't hiring the contractor, like that's a to-do list item? Like it is. But if you have a goal related to your home, it's also a goal step. Okay. There's no right or wrong on where it lives. Next category is health or weight loss. So setting up a health planner, buying a walking pad, purchasing a smart scale, attend Pilates intro classes, create a list of recipes to try, schedule appointments, take a before picture, complete a fitness challenge, track certain metrics, meet with a dietitian, research specific meals, clean fridge and pantry. You'll notice there are way less on this one. This is the kind of goal that lends itself way more to weekly or daily. You'll see the weekly and daily for this category are so much longer than the one-time steps. And truthfully, with the exception of the one that I took away, about finishing the program, I typically don't have health goals in the one-time step section. All right. The last category is personal. This one is just kind of a catch-all for any ideas that anybody gave me that were not related to those first 3 categories. So we have update LinkedIn profile. This was related to a job type of goal, organize craft supplies, read a certain number of books, Register for a class, text 3 friends, set up 1 lunch, send birthday cards, have a craft day. I love that. Complete an online course, update website and logo, schedule college visits, book hotels, book flights, plan a friend dinner, read a specific book, create a study plan, design new routines, find a therapist, sign up for lessons, and read 1 nonfiction book. So those, again, are just examples. They are just ideas to get your gears turning, to help you try to think of some ideas. So if you feel like this is something you still struggle with, I want you to comment below with what goal it is. What goal do you feel like you can't come up with one-time steps? And let's brainstorm and let's think about what they could be for you. So that is it. That is all that I have planned for today. Any questions, comments on this topic before we get to questions? Going once. Okay. Well, if you change your mind and you decide you have a question, no big deal. The rest of this time is yours. Feel free to ask questions about anything. It doesn't have to be on this topic. You can ask questions about literally anything that's on your mind. It could be about your individual goals or struggles. Do you need help breaking something down? Do you need a pep talk? Do you need whatever it is? I promise you that somebody else is going to benefit from that question as well. Maybe it's a topic that you don't know how to phrase into a question. You can just put topic and whatever it is. We'll chat about it, or whatever's on your mind, whatever you feel like you want to chat about today. Let's chat about it. I am here for the next 30 minutes and let's chat. Rachel Wynn about my ticket. I'm so excited to see so many of you. And ate pizza inside of one of my favorite pizza places by yourself. I love that. If y'all haven't watched the very first live of the year, we talked about people's individual goals, which I need to bring back that topic because it was so cool. And I think it was so helpful for a lot of people. And we talked about Rachel's goal about getting out of her comfort zone and building confidence. And I love that. Sorry, my phone was ringing. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like daycare. I needed something. All right, what else? What is on your mind? What questions do you have? Everyone just gonna be quiet today? Come on. Everybody's so quiet today. Is this a February problem? I feel like in February, I'm just like, okay, I'm ready for spring. It's just tough. Great question, Jennifer. When I make my goals, do I need to break it down to the smallest steps at that time? So the short answer is no, you don't have to. You need to break it down into the smallest steps when it's time for you to schedule them. Like when it's depending on what kind of goal planner you use, whether you use my goal planner or whether you use a different goal planner, when it's getting time for you to schedule them in your calendar, that's when you need to make it into the smallest steps that you need them to be. Whatever that step looks like for you, that's when you need to break it down. It's this kind of the same story as when you are breaking down your goals in general. Sure, in an ideal world, you're sitting there and doing the entire plan from A to Z. But frankly, a lot of times the plan changes, right? So if you spend all this time breaking down your goal into all the steps and all the small steps, it's possible that it changes. And so I don't want you to spend this time doing that and then changing your mind. So I want you to break it down to a place so you don't forget what the steps are that you want to include. And then when it's time to actually schedule those steps, then you break it down to the size that makes the most sense for your individual life and your individual goals. That's a great question, though. These are kind of similar. How's the new house? How's Lila adjusting to the new house? I'm not going to comment on Lila's adjustments, but we are all loving the new house. It's obviously taking some getting used to. We have, I mean, my entire adult life, I've only ever lived in like apartments. So having the space and then also having stairs, y'all, the number of steps that I'm getting in my life with stairs is astronomical. Like I'm getting so many more steps on a regular basis than I used to just from going up and down the stairs. I feel like we're in a decent place with unpacking. My dad was here over the weekend and he helped a lot with like hanging of stuff, curtains, the TVs. That's pretty much it. And then some other like little odds and ends here. Project type things that my dad is incredibly handy and very good at those things. But there's still a long way to go. There's still a lot of unpacking to do. And then there's also some stuff to buy. Like my desk, I don't have an office in the new house. I'm getting a desk in our bedroom. There's plenty of space, but I have my old desk doesn't fit in that space. So I have to buy a new desk and I just haven't had time to desk shop. And so that's why I'm at the kitchen table right now. But I need to do that, right? I need to desk shop and buy a desk. And I need to also buy a chair because it's on carpet and I didn't want to get like a rolly chair. I don't need a rolly chair. I don't need a rolly chair. I can get a regular chair. I mean, temporarily, right? I could take one of these chairs upstairs and use that. So really it's the desk. And then we have kind of 2 living spaces in this house. So we have to buy a second couch. And so that needs to happen as well. Again, not a super priority, but just like, I feel like I see it all the time. And then because it's ours, and because like we own it, I'm constantly like, oh, I would change that light fixture, or oh, I would paint that a different color. And like, I mean, I've rented my whole life or my whole adult life. And so I've never been able to do that. And now I like think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. But like I have to prioritize, right? I can't do it all right away. Both from a like financial standpoint and then also from like an actual standpoint, of like getting things done, especially with a last minute trip that's taking up a lot of time in terms of packing and then us actually being gone. But all in all, we're getting settled. And I just also am reminding myself, like, the plan is to be here long term. Like, we don't need to be in a rush. I don't need to like get settled quickly because I may or may not re-sign a lease in a year, right? Like this house isn't going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. And so we can take our time to get settled, which is really nice. Like it's just a really nice feeling. Oh my gosh. I love the amount of space it allows us, but I hate living in a house with 2 sets of stairs. It was killer while pregnant. Yeah, this is definitely something that I am dreading. Like on one hand, am I so thankful that we are here now and I'm not trying to move 2 kids. By the way, not pregnant. Every time we talk about this like next step for us, I'm always going to be like, not yet. I am not pregnant. But eventually we would like to expand our family. Am I glad that I wasn't trying to move 2 kids and all of their stuff into somewhere else? Yeah, 100%. Am I looking forward to going up and down these stairs pregnant someday? No, not even in the slightest. But yeah, it is what it is. I will say 2 more like house related things that I've been loving, which I know for those of you who have never really lived in a city, I don't know that you will appreciate how much I appreciate these things. Number 1 is my fridge has an ice maker. I haven't had a fridge with an ice maker, like, I don't know, since high school, like since I lived at my parents' house. I mean, sure, the like little stints that we stayed with my parents during the pandemic. Okay. But like long-term in my own place, no. I've been living out of ice cube trays. And for somebody who loves ice and cold water, that has been absolutely beautiful. Number 2 is a washer and dryer that I can do whenever I want that doesn't take 8 zillion years. So in most of my adult places, the washer and dryer has been community washer and dryer and therefore not free. And I had to pay to do loads. So I couldn't just like throw something in the dryer to de-wrinkle it, or I couldn't just like wash this one towel because I got like I used it to clean something up. And then the one time we did in New York, our last apartment in New York that we were in for 2 years had a washer and dryer, but they were just the worst machines in the whole world. And they took forever, especially the dryer. The dryer took out literally hours to dry anything. And it was an actual dryer. It wasn't just one of those air ones. Like it was an actual dryer, but it was just bad. And so even though I could do laundry for free, obviously electricity, water, whenever I wanted, it was, it took forever. Whereas like this morning, I just heard, you probably couldn't hear it. The dryer, one weird thing though, the washer in this house looks brand new. They didn't tell us the year, but it's so beautiful. The dryer looks older than me. And the buzzer when the dryer is done, I'm sure I can turn this off, but I want to hear it from the basement, is like the loudest thing ever. And it just went off. And that was the third load I did today. Amazing. So, okay, that was a lot of ranting about the new house, but it's been good. This is a great question, Jennifer. We talk about only having one new daily task a month, but I think the one-time steps usually have more tasks. Is there a good balance of the number of new one-time tasks per month? Great question. So when I think of balance in terms of one-time tasks, I don't think it needs to be about new. I don't think new is the word there, because again, they're one time. It's not something you're recurring. Whereas the daily ones, when you're trying to do it every day, it being recurring is a big deal. What is important when it comes to one-time steps is the amount of time that you have to do them. And if you go back and watch my goals videos from like our prior apartment in New York, so maybe like 2018, 2019 goals videos, I actually used to calculate the number of hours I had to work on my goals in a month. Like I would look at my calendar and I would say like, okay, here are the pockets of time on the weeknights or on the weekends that I have to work on my goals. And I have 10 hours to work on goals in this month. Then I would pick my one-time tasks and estimate them based on those number of hours. Now, I think if you're somebody who really struggles with overestimating the amount of tasks you can get done, this could be a really helpful exercise. I think for some people, it's me, I'm people, that was so specific and nitty gritty that it was almost too much, right? It was almost too like over planning, that then if I got slightly off or I slightly estimated wrong, I'd be like, all right, screw it. I'm throwing the whole thing out the window. Whereas I'm better off now just kind of guesstimating, right? And picking one-time steps based on approximately how much time I have over the course of the month. And I'm not doing exact calculations. So that's that time aspect. Or if you have a resource that's more important, energy, finances, help from others, whatever the resource is. And I have a whole video on goal resources that I will relink. But I think it's more about total time, whether they're new or not, total time of your one-time tasks versus your total time to work on them. Because these ones are ones that you actually have to like schedule time for more than anything, right? There's a reason on the goal planner that there's a scheduled check mark for the one time. Now, spoiler alert, I'm adding the schedule for weekly because those also need to get scheduled. Most of the time, the weekly tasks are like that as well. But the one-time steps for sure. So that's a great question. Deborah, one action step for health is the making a doctor's appointment. But why does that feel so hard? Because it is. Because especially if it requires a phone call, and it's not something you can do online. I had 2 phone calls I had to make today, and I also hate phone calls. I'm with you. I don't like it. I don't know if that's the millennial in me, but I'm not a phone. Which, you know what? We say that we're like, oh, the millennials. No, like, I mean, I had to make phone calls. I had to call my friends' parents and ask if they could play. Like, why am I so afraid of phone calls? I don't know. And we actually talked about this topic, though, doctors last week. That was a whole topic, a whole section was talking about finding doctors that you like. So maybe also like having doctors that you know that you like, receptionists that you know are nice. Like at the end of the day, like the 2 phone calls that I put off, let me tell you exactly how long they took. Okay. So the first one took 5 minutes. And that was to Southwest Airlines because um, in the rush of booking our flights for tomorrow, when I booked them last week, I typed one of our names wrong. I misspelled our name. Now, we probably could have gotten there and it probably would have been fine, but our TSA pre-check number wasn't registering because the name was misspelled. And again, it probably would have been fine, but like, I was like, it took me 5 minutes to call Southwest Airlines and say, hey, you can like see it was one of our last names. I'm like, you could see that like it's clearly 2 of the 3 last names say this and 1 doesn't. So can you just fix it? And they did in 5 minutes. And then the other one was to schedule a doctor's appointment for Lila, and it took 3 minutes. Like it really, it's one of those things that we overthink. Is it that we hate phone calls or that we hate automated systems and makes us not want to call? That's a great point. The doctor's appointments was not like there was one press 1, 2, 3, and then I immediately got to a person. But you're right, Southwest, I did have to go through quite a bit of robot hoops before I could actually talk to a person. And you're right, it's not fun, especially when they like don't hear your birthday right and whatever. So yeah. I think it's just, Deborah, I think truthfully, it's the reminder that probably gonna take you less time than you thought. And then it's going to feel good when it's done. And then if scheduling doctor's appointments over the phone is something you really don't like, schedule the next appointment when you're there. Like Lila's appointment that I made is like a one-off appointment for something. And so that is, I had to call and make that. Whereas like on her regularly scheduled appointments, I just make it when I'm there. So I'm talking to the person while I'm there and I don't ever have to make the phone call. I think because we text and email so much, we feel like we're bothering someone. Totally. I have hearing problems and speech issues, so it's frustrating when I can't understand or they can't understand. I can't even fathom that frustration. Yeah. If I get frustrated when today, like I kept trying to say my birthday and they kept saying March 5th instead of March 25th. And the Southwest, I repeated it a bazillion times. I can only imagine how frustrated you get. Most of my jobs required calling people. And so now I avoid it in my normal life. That's probably fair too, right? It's something that you do all the time. You don't want to do it. Same when I just have that conversation about something else in life. Ugh. Okay. Okay. I'm just making sure I had all the comments related to the things that we've already talked about so far. Okay. Maggie, one of my goals is to build a capsule wardrobe. Where does everyone get their t-shirts? Because another goal was not buying clothes off of Amazon this year. So I'm at a total loss. That's really, yeah, that's hard. This is when I would go, if you have any sort of like fashion, like influencer people, I feel like they are really good at like where they try t-shirts from like 3 different places and tell you which one is the best. Now, the negative is sometimes depending on your price range, they're going to tell you it's like this Madewell t-shirt that's like $30 for a white t-shirt. And you're like, that's a little bit out of my price range. But if you're trying to build a capsule wardrobe, my guess is you're probably potentially budgeting a little bit more for some staple pieces. So maybe that would work for you. But I think if you can find somebody who has like reviewed various t-shirts to share your thoughts, I literally shop at Old Navy for clothes for myself. It's Old Navy, Target, and Amazon right now. And I don't love that. But that is where I'm at in life right now. Target, Old Navy, I don't know, Maurice's? I've never heard of that. Yeah, same. Target, Old Navy. See, I don't love phone calls, but I don't hate them. I hate leaving voicemails. Oh, that's so interesting. I love leaving voicemails because then I can just say all the information that I want. I can repeat myself if I want, and then I don't have to actually talk to somebody. Maurice's is pricier, but I'm plus size, so they're more likely to have your size. Oh, awesome. I feel like Target, Old Navy, from that perspective, online, they have so much and they just never freaking have it in person. Like same with the maternity stuff. It's like they have one thing. Well, Old Navy has nothing maternity in store and you're having to like order it all online. But so I feel like that's how their plus size stuff typically is too, is they have it, but it's all online. You're not going to buy it in person. And that's when the other thing is you have to let go of the guilt of returns. So like Amazon has a great return policy and a great return system. And I've never had issues with Target or Old Navy's returns, especially if I order something online and then I have to return it in person. I'm like, if you would carry this in store, I would have come in and tried it on, but you don't. And so I'm ordering it online. And then same thing with Lila's clothes. Like for whatever reason, our Old Navy just does not have a lot of this in between that Lila is in. They have 0 to 12, crushing it. Okay. 2T and up, crushing it. This like 12 months to 2T window, like where is all of it? I don't know. It's not in my Old Navy and Target. So I am constantly having to order stuff online for her, and it's like the worst. And then I return stuff and I'm like, well, have it in person. Not that Lila's trying clothes on, but you know what I mean. JCPenney's, I haven't been to a Penny's in a long time. Kohl's, I always forget about Kohl's. Kohl's or an outlet mall. Yeah, outlet malls are great too. They're just all outdoors. And I know Maggie lives in a similar area to me. And I'm not about to go walk around the Aurora Outlet Mall right now. I'm sure you're not either, Maggie. But maybe as you get closer to the summer, that might be a good place to go shop. Oh, I haven't been out there. My mom and I did a huge shop there when I was pregnant. I haven't been out since. We've actually been talking about going. We looked it up once for my fellow Chicagoland people. I know some of you are out in the burbs, but the outlets in Indiana, Michigan City, maybe, and then the outlets in, they're north somewhere. I don't know if they're quite in Wisconsin or they're just north. They're like almost the same distance for us as the Aurora ones. So my mom and I keep saying we want to go and try and check them out and just see what they have. Because, since we lived out there, we're very comfortable with them. Aurora outlets. Yes, definitely a spring or summer idea for sure. Oh, BST Facebook groups. That's a good idea to get new things that people decide they didn't want. That's a great suggestion. We actually, and Facebook, we're not going to get into it. And a lot of it's, I get, again, not getting into it. But we did sell a lot of house stuff on Facebook too before we moved. There were some things that just like either were brand new or barely used. Not clothes. Like we didn't sell barely used clothes. I mean, I know people totally do it, especially kids' clothes, but I personally would, I don't know. It just feels, but yet I would buy something. I buy stuff from like Salvation Army. So like, what's the difference? I don't know. Anyway. But like there was this chair that Sam had in his office. There was the cat tree that I bought Charlie that she was not interested in and maybe sat on like 2 times. I sold that. What else did I sell? And so it was like really nice. And like, I was very thankful for Facebook. And the other thing I was thankful for Facebook on related to the move, y'all, Chicago has, and I'm sure other cities have a similar setup. Chicago has a Facebook group for boxes and packing materials. So when you have stuff, you post about it like free, you like are reusing boxes and packing materials. I did not have to buy boxes or packing materials. I bought tape. That is the only packing thing I had to purchase. I got boxes and bubble wrap and packing paper from this Facebook group, and it supplied me with everything. There were at the end there, I was out of bigger sizes and I was putting stuff in smaller boxes that really could have gone in a bigger box. Like it wasn't heavy enough to warrant a small box, but I was just down to small boxes, but we did not have to buy a single box. And it was so nice. So reminder, I don't know if in other more rural areas, I think it might be a more city thing, but here's the difference. In New York, that couldn't be a thing because you need a car to go pick up the boxes from the people that are, unless it's like down the street from you, right? You can walk with them, but even then you're not walking with like a giant stack of boxes. Whereas like I took my mom's car and went and picked up like all these boxes. It was amazing. Amazing. All right. Speaking of move, I saw another question. Anyway, Maggie, I hope that was helpful. Any new tips, insights you found from this move? So maybe not necessarily new, but things that I knew, and then were solidified. So number one, you can start in advance. You absolutely can start in advance, but you're going to do a lot of it at the end because there's a lot of stuff that you're going to be like, well, I may need that, or I may need that. And then you may pack it and then you may realize you need it. So I wish I had kind of pushed more work earlier in January and left more space to pack at the end. That's number one. Number two, and this I already knew, but is a good reminder, decluttering and packing are two different steps. And unless you allocate a lot of extra time, this is my experience, while you're packing, decluttering while you pack is tough. So there were some areas that I did it, and then there were some areas that I just ran out of time and was like, I just don't have time to declutter. One of those areas was baby clothes. I had wanted to kind of go through Lila's baby clothes, reorganize them into their size categories just to see how we were doing, and declutter the ones that I wouldn't keep for a future baby. And I just didn't have time. And I was like, and they were already in containers. And I was like, we're just moving these. And that will be a nesting scenario in a future Laken's problem. So yeah, that was one of them. Be more thorough with your labeling. There are still 2 items that I have not found. Now I haven't opened every box. I probably, if it was a lot more urgent, I could have opened every box. But so not only did I write on the box, but I also created a notes app in my phone. And that did help with some things, but there's 2 things specifically that I can think of that are MIA that have got to be in a box somewhere. It's got to be here. And I just don't know where. So I didn't label enough and it got buried in a box that I didn't think I would need, I guess. And so I haven't found them, and that's annoying. So, yeah, for moving, that's, yeah, I don't know. I'm just very thankful that hopefully it's gonna be a long time before I have to move again. A very long time. Yes, label boxes for the new places, not the old. I did do that, right? Like that is accurate. There hasn't really been much that I've had to like, oh, this goes in a different room than what the box it says, except maybe the 2 things I haven't found. Rural areas, check your local grocery store or liquor store for boxes. Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Rachel. See, and what's funny is I've always seen this tip, but I've always lived in like bigger cities, and like I don't know where they put their boxes, but they don't just like keep them lying around because there's no space. Like the little liquor stores in New York, like they didn't keep their boxes lying around. So nobody ever had them for us. God, I spent a lot of money on boxes in New York. I just was amazed that I bought 0 boxes for this move. It was incredible. Okay, I saw one more question that I don't want to forget. Morgan, expectations versus reality. For example, I had surgery a few weeks ago and I'm still recovering. I feel like I'm stuck thinking about all the things I can't do versus I can, if that makes sense. It absolutely makes sense, Morgan. And it is so tough. First off, I hope that you're doing well. And I hope that you are on the mend. And the first reminder is that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, right? You are going to recover, right? You are going to get better. And there's going to be a time that you're going to get back to how you were feeling and how you were operating before. And so I know it's hard right now because you can't see that, right? They give you timelines, they give you estimates, but like it's hard to know until you're actually doing it. The other thing about expectations on things like this, and this I found to be very true with pregnancy and postpartum. And so I will tell any mom, future mom, new mom that will listen, your expectations, you cannot predict them. You can have them if you want, but until you're living it, you have no idea. You have no idea how you're going to feel. You have no idea how exhausted you're going to be on either end of the spectrum, right? Pregnancy is so different for so many women. You may be the most exhausted person in your first trimester, or you may be totally fine. You may be super nauseous the entire time, or you may only be nauseous till week 14 and then you're good to go, right? Like you have no idea. So you can't have expectations, right? You can't. And so you kind of said the answer right there, is that focusing on what you can do in your current recovery state. Number one is rest is the most important thing. The best way for you to recover is by resting. Our bodies are amazing. They're amazing and they're strong, and they can heal on their own so many ailments. And if we give them the proper nutrients and rest time to do so. So don't push yourself. Take the time that your body needs to rest. And I know this is all easier said than done. This is very much coming from a do as I say, because I'm not good at this either. I know it. I get it. To the best that you can, rest. That might mean asking for help, right? That might mean like having somebody else do things, paying a little bit extra for cleaning or food cooking or delivery or whatever it is. Number 2 is focusing on what you can do. And with that, shorter time frames. So it's hard, especially this time of year, right? You want to plan the whole year. You want to plan the whole quarter. You want to even maybe plan the whole month. Right now, you might be in a phase that you're planning 1 week at a time, maybe even 1 day at a time, right? Because each day and each week is going to look very different based on your healing and recovery. And so I don't want you to make this whole plan and then get frustrated when you can't execute because you're not the place that you thought you were going to be. What you're better off doing is saying, okay, I know I have a better sense of where I'm at today. What can I do today? How much rest am I going to get? And then what are some other small things maybe I can do to make myself feel progress, to make myself feel like myself? And take 1 day, max, probably 1 week at a time. And that applies to a lot of people, not just healing from surgery, but a loved one healing from surgery, a family emergency, a move. Like I said, pregnancy and postpartum. I mean, there's so many areas of life. Even if you've gone through it before, it is going to be different this time, right? Your life is different. You're a different person. Your situation is different. I'm sure Brittany can potentially comment on this, but my mom talks a lot about the like how old when she had me in her 20s. And then when she had Brittany, I obviously don't know how old you are. I just know that you have an older child and then you also have a newborn, right? So you had a big gap in your feeling for pregnancy. My mom says that 10-year gap between me and my sister, that it was a very, very different pregnancy. And a very different postpartum, not just because she had a C-section with my brother and sister, but just 10 years on her life. And so even if you're going through something you've already gone through, and I know that, Morgan asking the question, she may have not gone through the surgery before and this recovery before, but for any of these scenarios, for any of us that impact our expectations versus reality, even if it's something you've gone through before, it's going to look different, right? That move is going to feel different. That pregnancy, postpartum is going to feel different. That death in the family is going to feel different. That whatever it is going to be a different scenario. And so you have to be okay that your reality of what you can accomplish and the progress that you can make is going to look different. And that's okay. Even if you have to put your goals on pause, even if you have to make them smaller or adjust them or make them whatever, that's just what we have to do sometimes. So that's a good question. I know you're not alone, and hopefully that was helpful. Anything else, you guys? And then all of a sudden I was like, where are the questions? You guys are being super quiet. And now here we are 30 minutes later. And it's just like, boop, 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 boop. All the answers, all the questions. My coffee is almost gone, which is good because one of my goals for this month is my sleep score. And I have not gotten to check that off yet. It's interesting because that is a goal that's like not totally in my control, but I'll comment on it. I haven't checked it off yet, but it gets me thinking. It gets me thinking like what impacted it, right? So like when I look at it and I think about like, okay, I'm doing it also 1 day behind, right? So the Monday dot was Monday nights. I had coffee. I didn't finish my second cup of coffee until like 3 p.m. I think that was what impacted it. And then Tuesday, last night, I like could not fall asleep. So my sleep score, and both of those nights, ironically, they're really close to the score that I want to get my check mark, but not quite. All to say, it's probably good that my coffee's almost gone. Of course, I might not get a great sleep score tonight because we've got to wake up early and go to the airport in the morning. So one thing after the other. All right. Anybody else with questions or thoughts? Can you guys hear Sam? He's so loud. Or these walls are so thin. All right. If we don't have anything else, I am going to ask you my last question, which is what is one thing that you're going to do this week to make progress on your goals? What's the one step you're going to take to make progress on your goals? You know that small progress is still progress. My one thing is going to be 5 minutes of creative time. Yeah, my goal is 45. And that was after crushing 30 minutes in January. But with the way things have been going, I have not even been doing 5 minutes. So that is my goal, is to do 5 minutes at least of creative time this week. Means I won't get my check mark, and that's okay. But I want to at least make some progress on that goal. So I want to hear about your one step. If you are here live, please share in the chat. If you are watching the replay and you're still here, please comment in the description or in the comment section with your one step. Oh, get the kids better. I hope everyone feels better soon, Anna. That's so hard. Finish your first quilt and start on the second. That's so exciting. Get your keyboard set up. I love it. So you can start learning to play piano. Oh my gosh. We need to get our keyboard set up too. That has not been set up for the move because we're not quite sure where it's going to go, to be honest with you. So watch the community call replay. I love it. Track your dailies and expenses. One more day of PT. Put when the bills are due in your planner. I love hearing about all of your one-time steps, y'all. All right, if you're still here and you watched all the way to the end, since we talked about kind of scheduling and these like one-time steps, I want you to comment with the calendar emoji if you watched all the way to the end. And thank you again for hanging out. If you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate that. And if you're new here, click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every week focused on helping you achieve your goals. See you next week.